Welcome back to Ageless Mind and Body, where staying sharp, strong, and healthy after 60 isn't just possible. It's practical. Today, we're diving into a surprising truth that could be hiding right in your kitchen. What if your refrigerator, the very appliance you trust to keep your food fresh, is secretly sabotaging your health? It's not about expiration dates or spoiled leftovers. We're talking about 9 everyday foods that most people over 60 are refrigerating without a second thought. And it's quietly damaging their gut, their heart, even their brain. From blood sugar spiking potatoes to antioxidant crushing avocados, the science is both eye-opening and unsettling. But don't worry, we're not just pointing out problems. We're giving you the simple science-backed solutions to store these foods right, so you get the most nutrition, flavor, and health benefits every time. Stick around, because number 2 on this list might just change how you see your fridge forever. Let's get started. 9. Potatoes. Most people don't realize that putting potatoes in the refrigerator can quietly turn them into a health hazard. When exposed to cold temperatures, the starches in potatoes undergo a process called cold-induced sweetening. This causes the starch to convert into sugars much faster than it would at room temperature. That might not sound like a big deal, but here's where the real problem begins. When these refrigerated, sugar-laden potatoes are later cooked, especially at high temperatures, like baking or frying, the sugars combine with amino acids to form acrylamide. This chemical is classified as a probable human carcinogen by the International Agency for Research on Cancer. In other words, what seems like a simple storage mistake could be putting your long-term health at risk. But the impact doesn't stop there. The refrigerator also damages the cellular structure of the potato, ruining its texture and altering its flavor. You might notice your mashed potatoes tasting oddly sweet or gritty. That's a direct result of storing them too cold. Fortunately, there's a simple fix. Instead of tossing your potatoes into the fridge, keep them in a cool, dark place with good airflow, ideally between 45 and 50 degrees Fahrenheit. A pantry cellar or even a ventilated cardboard box in a closet works well. Just make sure the space is dry and shielded from light. Exposure to light triggers the production of solanine, the green compound that makes potatoes not only bitter but potentially toxic in large amounts. It's also important to store potatoes away from onions. While they may seem like pantry partners, both vegetables release gases that accelerate spoilage in each other. Keeping them at least 3 feet apart can dramatically extend their freshness. Another tip is to use paper bags or baskets rather than plastic bags. Plastic traps moisture, which can lead to rot. When stored properly, potatoes can last up to 3 months with their flavor, texture, and nutritional quality intact. But in the fridge, they may be ruined in as little as 2 weeks. So, if you've been refrigerating your potatoes out of habit or convenience, it's time to make a small change with big benefits for your health. 8. Bread. Refrigerating. Bread might seem like a smart way to keep it fresh longer, but it actually does the opposite. When bread is stored in the cold environment of a refrigerator, it undergoes a chemical process called starch retrogradation. This means the starch molecules begin to recrystallize, forcing out moisture and causing the bread to become hard and stale much faster than it would at room temperature. In fact, scientific studies have shown that bread kept in the fridge becomes stale up to 6 times faster than bread stored properly at room temperature. So, if you've ever wondered why your sandwich bread turns dry and crumbly just a few days after buying it, your refrigerator is likely to blame. Beyond texture, refrigeration also affects the taste of bread. The cold environment breaks down the bread's natural volatile compounds, the very molecules responsible for its fresh, comforting aroma and flavor. When these compounds degrade, your once fragrant loaf starts to taste bland or even like cardboard. Luckily, the solution is simple and effective. Bread should be stored in a bread box or loosely wrapped in a paper bag at room temperature. This keeps the humidity at just the right level to prevent mold while preserving the bread's softness and flavor. If you find that you can't finish a loaf within a few days, don't turn to the fridge. Instead, freeze it. Freezing bread, especially after slicing it, preserves its quality far better than refrigeration. The freezing process happens quickly enough to prevent large ice crystals from forming, which means the bread's texture stays intact. When you're ready to eat, it's simply take out a slice and toast it straight from the freezer. There's no need to thaw it first, which actually helps preserve the moisture inside. By storing your bread this way, you can enjoy fresh-tasting slices for weeks without sacrificing taste or texture. So, while the refrigerator might be great for milk and cheese, it's one of the worst places you can keep your bread. With just a few small changes in how you store it, you can extend the shelf, life-preserve flavor, and keep your daily toast or sandwich from turning into a stale disappointment. 7. Honey is one of nature's most remarkable foods, naturally sweet-packed with antioxidants, and known for its powerful antimicrobial properties. But when you store it in the refrigerator, you're not preserving its benefits, you're actually destroying them. Cold temperatures cause honey to crystallize, rapidly turning its smooth, golden texture into a gritty, solid mess that's difficult to scoop or spread. While crystallization doesn't necessarily make honey unsafe to eat, it significantly alters its texture and makes it less enjoyable to use. But more importantly, refrigeration introduces moisture into the jar every time it's opened and closed. That moisture, even in small amounts, interferes with honey's natural balance and can lead to fermentation or spoilage over time. Studies have shown that storing honey below 50 degrees Fahrenheit can reduce its antimicrobial potency by up to 35%. That's a significant loss, especially for seniors who rely on honey for immune support, digestion, or soothing sore throats. The flavor of honey also suffers in the cold. It contains over 180 unique compounds that contribute to its rich taste and aroma. But refrigeration disrupts this delicate balance and causes those compounds to break down more quickly. As a result, your expensive raw or organic honey might begin to taste dull, artificial, or overly sugary after just a few weeks in the fridge. The ideal way to store honey is simple but specific. Keep it at room temperature, ideally between 64 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit, in a tightly sealed glass jar or food-safe container. Make sure it's kept away from direct sunlight and heat sources like the stove, as extreme temperatures on either end can degrade its quality. If your honey has already crystallized, don't throw it away. Place the jar in a bowl of warm water and stir gently until the crystals dissolve and the honey returns to its original liquid form. Avoid using boiling water or microwaves, which can damage its nutrients. With proper storage, honey can stay fresh and potent indefinitely. In fact, archaeologists have discovered jars of honey in ancient Egyptian tombs that were still edible after thousands of years. So, if you want to keep this golden superfood in its best condition, skip the fridge and give it a warm, dry place to shine. 6. Storing coffee in the refrigerator might seem like a harmless habit, but it's actually one of the worst things you can do if you care about flavor and freshness. Coffee is incredibly porous, meaning it easily absorbs moisture and odors from its surroundings. When you place it in the fridge, it doesn't just stay cold, it starts soaking up every lingering scent from nearby foods like garlic cheese or leftovers. That's why your morning cup might start tasting strangely off, even if your beans were fresh to begin with. But the damage doesn't stop at smell. The refrigerator's constant temperature fluctuations create condensation inside the container, especially when it's opened frequently. That moisture encourages mold growth and accelerates the breakdown of coffee's natural oils, which are the key to its rich aroma and flavor. According to research from the Specialty Coffee Association, refrigerated coffee can lose up to 60% of its aromatic compounds in just 1 week. As those oils solidify in the cold, your brew becomes weak, bitter, and lifeless, far from the bold, comforting experience coffee should be. To preserve its quality, coffee should always be stored at room temperature between 60 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit in an airtight, opaque container. Light and oxygen are also enemies of fresh coffee, so containers that block UV rays and seal tightly are essential. Clear jars and loosely sealed bags only speed up flavor loss. It's also best to buy coffee in small batches and use it within 2 weeks of opening for the most vibrant flavor. If you need to store coffee for a longer period, freezing is a better option than refrigerating, but only if done right. Divide the coffee into individual weekly portions and freeze them in vacuum-sealed or airtight bags. Take out only what you need and never refreeze coffee, as the moisture damage from thawing and refreezing is irreversible. By following these simple steps, you can maintain the rich, full-bodied flavor of your coffee and enjoy a satisfying cup every time. So, while the fridge may be great for keeping milk cold, it's a disaster for your coffee. Treat your beans with care, and they'll reward you with the kind of aroma and taste that makes every morning feel like a small luxury. 5. Garlic. Refrigerating garlic might seem like a way to keep it fresh, but it actually does more harm than good, especially for those who rely on garlic for its health benefits. When garlic is stored in the cold, moist environment of a refrigerator, it starts to sprout quickly, producing green shoots that taste bitter and can upset the digestive system. While these sprouts aren't toxic, they signal that the garlic is past its prime and losing nutritional value. Even more concerning is that this damp environment creates the perfect breeding ground for mold. Some types of mold found on garlic can produce harmful mycotoxins, which may pose serious health risks if consumed over time. But perhaps the biggest loss happens at the chemical level. Garlic is famous for its potent compound called allicin, the very component responsible for its antibacterial, antiviral, and anti-inflammatory properties. Studies have shown that refrigerated garlic can lose up to 50% of its allicin content within just 10 days, essentially cutting its medicinal power in half. On top of that, refrigeration damages the garlic's texture. The cold breaks down cell walls, leaving the cloves mushy, sticky, and difficult to chop or mince properly. If you've ever tried to cook with cold garlic and found it turning into paste or clumping on your knife, now you know why. The best way to store garlic is in a cool, dry place with plenty of air circulation. Ideal storage temperatures range between 60 and 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Mesh bags, wire baskets, or paper bags work perfectly because they allow the garlic to breathe, preventing moisture buildup. Never store garlic in sealed plastic containers, as this traps humidity and accelerates spoilage. Also, avoid placing garlic near heat sources like your stove, as the warmth and steam will cause it to sprout even faster. When properly stored, a whole bulb of garlic can last for several months without losing its texture or potency. Once you break the bulb and start using individual cloves, it's best to use them within 10 days for maximum flavor and benefit. So instead of hiding your garlic in the back of the fridge, give it a dry, ventilated home where it can retain its powerful health-boosting qualities and robust flavor. 4. Bananas. Bananas are one of the most commonly misunderstood fruits when it comes to storage. Many people toss them into the refrigerator without realizing they're actually accelerating their decline. Cold temperatures cause what scientists call chilling injury, a process that ruptures the delicate cell membranes inside the fruit. This damage results in a grainy, mushy texture that completely ruins the banana's natural creaminess. You'll also notice the peel turning black far more quickly than it would at room temperature. While this discoloration might seem purely cosmetic, it actually signals a breakdown of the fruit's natural defenses. Beneath that darkened skin, the banana's internal structure begins to collapse, and bacteria or mold can start to grow, even if it's not visible yet. But that's not the only issue. Bananas are a good source of vitamin C, which supports immunity and skin health, especially important for seniors. Unfortunately, when stored below 56 degrees Fahrenheit, bananas can lose up to 80% of their vitamin C content in just 5 days. That means most of their nutritional value is gone before you even peel them. The best way to store bananas is at room temperature, ideally between 56 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Hanging them on a banana hook helps prevent bruising and promotes even ripening by allowing air to circulate around each fruit. If you want to speed up the ripening process, place the bananas in a paper bag with an apple. The ethylene gas released by the apple will help the bananas ripen more quickly. Perfect if you need them ready for a smoothie or snack within a day or two. Once bananas are fully ripe, you can place them in the refrigerator. For a short time, no more than 1 or 2 days. While the skin will blacken, the inside will remain relatively intact if eaten quickly. For longer storage, it's best to peel and freeze them. Frozen bananas are ideal for smoothies and baking as they blend into a creamy, ice-free texture. So instead of relying on your refrigerator from the start, let bananas ripen at their own pace at room temperature. Not only will you preserve their nutritional value, but you'll also enjoy their full flavor and natural texture, just as nature intended. 3. Onions. Storing onions in the refrigerator might feel like a natural choice, but it's one of the most damaging things you can do to this kitchen staple. The refrigerator's high humidity, which typically hovers around 95%, creates an ideal environment for mold growth. Even worse, this mold can produce aflatoxins, some of the most dangerous naturally occurring toxins, known which are linked to serious health risks, including liver damage and even cancer. But the problems with refrigeration don't stop there. Cold temperatures also trigger a sharp increase in sugar content due to starch conversion. In fact, studies show that onions stored in the fridge can experience a 270% rise in sugar levels within just 2 weeks. This change completely alters the onion's flavor and cooking behavior. Instead of achieving a deep, rich caramelization, when sautéed refrigerated onions tend to burn more quickly and develop an odd sweetness that can ruin the balance of savory dishes. Texture also suffers. Ice crystals can form within the onion cells, breaking down the structure and making the flesh soft, mushy, and difficult to slice cleanly. If you've ever tried chopping a slimy onion that refuses to hold its shape, your fridge is likely to blame. The proper way to store whole onions is in a cool, dry, well-ventilated area with temperatures between 45 and 55 degrees Fahrenheit. Avoid using plastic bags, which trap moisture and accelerate decay. Instead, choose mesh bags, wire baskets, or even pantyhose to allow airflow and reduce the chance of rot. Keep onions away from potatoes, as both vegetables emit gases that cause each other to spoil more quickly. Also, avoid exposing onions to direct sunlight, which can trigger sprouting and bitterness. However, once an onion has been cut, the rules change. Cut onions should be stored in an airtight container in the refrigerator and used within 7 days. At this stage, refrigeration helps slow bacterial growth on the exposed surface, making it safe for short-term storage. Still, always inspect cut onions for signs of slime or strong sour odors before use. With just a few adjustments to your storage habits, you can extend the life of your onions, preserve their natural flavor, and protect your health from harmful toxins, all without letting your fridge work against you. 2. Tomatoes. Tomatoes are one of the most flavor-rich and nutrient-dense fruits you can eat, but placing them in the refrigerator can silently strip away nearly everything that makes them beneficial and delicious. Research has shown that refrigeration doesn't just affect the taste and texture of tomatoes, it actually causes genetic shutdown. When stored below 54 degrees Fahrenheit, tomatoes deactivate hundreds of genes responsible for producing their signature flavor compounds. The worst part: this damage is permanent. Even if you later bring the tomato back to room temperature, those flavor-producing genes never fully recover. What you're left with is a red fruit that looks like a tomato but tastes watery, bland, and lifeless. The cold also takes a heavy toll on tomatoes' nutritional value. Lycopene, a powerful antioxidant found in high levels in ripe tomatoes and known for its heart protective and anti-cancer benefits, is reduced by about 65% during refrigeration. And it gets worse: the enzymes your body needs to absorb that remaining lycopene are destroyed in the process, making the already diminished antioxidant nearly useless. Beyond nutrition and taste, the texture of cold-stored tomatoes becomes noticeably mealy and grainy. This is due to microscopic ice crystals forming within the cell walls, rupturing the fruit's internal structure. The result is a mushy mess that no longer holds up in a salad or sandwich. The best way to preserve both the flavor and health benefits of tomatoes is to store them properly. Keep them stem side down at room temperature between 55 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. This position minimizes moisture loss and prevents bacteria from entering through the stem scar. Place them in a spot with indirect natural light, bright enough to maintain freshness, but not so harsh that it triggers over-ripening. Avoid using plastic bags as they trap ethylene gas and promote rapid spoilage. Instead, allow the tomatoes to breathe in open-air containers or breathable baskets. Ripe tomatoes should be used within 3 to 5 days. If you have more than you can use, consider making a simple tomato sauce and freezing it. Cooking tomatoes actually increases lycopene bioavailability, and freezing helps preserve the nutrients far better than refrigeration. So skip the fridge and let your tomatoes thrive your taste buds, and your health will thank you. 1. Avocados. Avocados are prized for their creamy texture, heart-healthy fats, and powerful antioxidants. But improper storage can quickly destroy everything that makes them valuable. When you place avocados in the refrigerator, especially before they're ripe, you trigger a damaging process known as lipid peroxidation. This chemical reaction causes the healthy monounsaturated fats in avocados to oxidize, forming harmful free radicals that not only strip away the nutritional value, but may also pose risks to your cells. Studies show that up to 90% of the fruit's antioxidant content is lost within just 4 days of cold storage. Antioxidants like vitamin E and C, which support skin health, reduce inflammation, and help protect aging cells, degrade rapidly under cold conditions. The texture also suffers dramatically. Refrigeration breaks down the avocado's structure, causing the flesh to become stringy, watery, and unpleasantly oily. What was once a smooth, buttery fruit turns into a clumpy mess that's hard to spread or blend. If you're aiming for the perfect guacamole or a satisfying avocado toast, a refrigerated avocado will leave you disappointed. The key to preserving avocados is understanding their ripening stage. Unripe avocados should always be stored at room temperature, ideally between 65 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Allow them to ripen naturally on the counter, away from direct sunlight and heat. If you need to speed up the process, placing them in a paper bag with a banana or apple will release ethylene gas that accelerates ripening. Once your avocado is ripe and ready to eat, you can refrigerate it for a short period, no more than 2 to 3 days, to slow further softening. However, even during this limited time, expect some quality loss. If you've already cut into an avocado and want to save the rest, there are a few tricks to keep it fresh. Always leave the pit in the unused half brush the exposed flesh with lemon juice to prevent oxidation, and store it in an airtight container alongside a slice of onion. The sulfur compounds from the onion help reduce browning without affecting flavor. With these careful storage techniques, you can enjoy the full nutritional power and flavor of avocados without letting the refrigerator rob them of their health benefits. As we've seen, storing certain foods in the refrigerator can do far more harm than good, especially for seniors who rely on these everyday staples for their nutritional value. From the loss of antioxidants in avocados and tomatoes to the harmful compounds that form in chilled potatoes and garlic, your fridge could be quietly undermining your health with every bite. But the good news is, small changes make a big difference. By learning how to store these foods properly at room temperature or in well-ventilated cool spaces, you can protect their natural benefits, preserve flavor, and avoid exposing your body to unnecessary toxins. It's not about giving up convenience, it's about making smarter choices that support long-term health, energy, and independence. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who needs to hear this. And most importantly, subscribe to Ageless Mind and Body for more science-backed tips on how to stay healthy, strong, and vibrant at any age. Your best years aren't behind you, they're just beginning. Let's take this journey to better living together, one small habit at a time.